Welcome, everybody, to another a holiday edition of the Owatonna Wrestling Weekly Podcast. On my right, your left, but my right, I have Coach Gabe Hoven of the middle school, as well as the OWA's Min USA director, who had a big weekend. We'll talk about that one with a couple of different tournaments that we had. And then, I'm Coach Derek Johnson in season 4 of this podcast, as well as my tenure as head coach. And first off, though, I'd like to thank Kohl's Electric for being a premier sponsor of the Owatonna Wrestling Association, as well as this podcast. And Kohl's Electric has been a longtime supporter. We're talking decades, probably now.
I'm going to go back at least 18 years.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's more than that, but I'm going to say at least 18 years.
Well, and we wouldn't be the program we are without the huge amount of support that we get from our local area businesses, and we like to return the favor. So Kohl's Electric, for any of your commercial or residential needs, they've been trusted in this community for a long, long time. And so we ask you all to support them back. Thank you. Well, so we had a couple of weeks under our belt, but 1 week was break, so didn't have a whole lot going on. We did have one tournament. We'll kind of review that, but the last time we talked, we were heading into, for the high school, our Glencoe Silver Lake try that we were supposed to have on Thursday, December 19th. That got snowed out. That was that big storm, and they got hit first, kind of the central Minnesota, so that got canceled. But then we rolled right into our first annual Owatonna Girls Classic invite, which for a tournament that's on like the boys' Christmas tournament weekend, we're rolling into Christmas parties, everything like that. We still had over 105. I think it ended up being about 110 because Rosemont got sick and they had, I think, 12 girls. So we had like 125 registered. Okay. Ended up right around 110. Which was cool to see.
Yeah.
It was a really awesome experience.
It was a good tournament to have. I mean, it's only getting bigger.
Yep.
I hope it just keeps growing and we actually have to use both gyms for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it was pretty cool to see for the final matches. You actually dropped the light for them.
Yep.
And they got to wrestle in the center underneath the light. So
I think that's going to be a big draw. Yes. I had a hunch, and I'm like, you know what? With our new super light mats, it takes 2 seconds to shift that. And so I think they really liked how we basically got every round of varsity and JV and all the way up through third place for varsity and then the entire JV brackets done and over with so that our finals for varsity could be under the lamp weight by weight.
Yep.
And that was really awesome.
Yes.
Everybody came together. Of course, everybody stuck around and was in the stands and kind of packed it that way. And selfishly, on the Owatonna side, we did really well too. Under the lamp, we started off with number 4, Kayla Pastica. She took first, and I didn't even realize that Trotter of Valley was ranked at the time. So she's still ranked 10th, and she was ranked 10th back then. And Kayla absolutely dismantled her.
Yeah, she did.
That was a clinic. So if you don't know, Kayla Pastica started the year unranked, which was to our chagrin. We submitted her for rankings and everything, but it didn't take long for her to get noticed. And at the time of this match, she was number 5. And now since then, she's moved up to number 4.
Number 4. Okay.
Yep. And so she went 3-0 on that night and got the first ever championship belt under her for the Owatonna Girls Classic. So that was awesome. And then we followed it up
with Kayla. I'll say with how she's doing this summer wrestling for her just has excelled her, and she's learning more. She's doing more. She's looking aggressive out there.
Yeah. She's wrestling kind of that 90s Owatonna style, which is awesome. So just
die hard and be aggressive.
Yep. Unafraid. And another one who's really, honestly, Isabel is returning to form, meaning for the same thing, her aggressiveness in move selections. Isabel is always an aggressive person by nature.
Yep.
But as far as like her technique and being able to really trust her wide array of skills, that's come back closer to how she was a couple of years ago. And so that's great to see. So same thing. She was in the finals of the Owatonna Girls Classic at 106.
And there's another one that wrestled throughout the summer and
Yeah.
just put time in. And some of the tournaments didn't go her way, but she was out there wrestling freestyle and put in the time and the work. She battled in that.
Yeah. No, she's been impressive, and she went 2-0 and had a finals pin. She had a small bracket herself that night, but nonetheless looked extremely tough.
Yep.
Michaela Salee Jr. at 139, even though she'll probably end up being down at a lower weight class as the season goes on. She had a round robin and everybody beat everybody. So she was under the lamp too for her final match, and looked pretty tough, ended up taking second place. And her thing is, man, she has just not been able to have a full week with being sick.
Yeah.
It has been really rough for her. So as soon as she gets 100% conditioning under her belt, she's going to be pretty dang good. And then Aaliyah Fisher, hey, guess what? You're going to come back from multiple ankle surgeries.
Year and a half off almost.
Yeah.
A year.
Have maybe 4 good practices before taking on the number 16 girl in the country, number 1 in the state, Esperanza Cavillo of Apple Valley. Kind of got worked, but I mean, like I said, that's a rough way to come back. And Aaliyah never shies from a challenge. No, that's the thing. No. She would, I mean, she's that type of athlete that quite honestly would lie to a coach about how healthy she is or is not. So she's one her parents and the coaching staff is keeping a very close eye on, because clearly, the multiple ankle surgeries, she's definitely not 100%. And I think she's kind of hiding what actual percent she is right now. So she's just gutting it out. She's a gritty competitor.
And I think also once her cardio gets back, I mean, you go wrestling cardio is one thing.
Right.
I mean, you can say, I've been running, I've been riding a bike. I can run a mile in this amount of time. 6 minutes on a mat is a completely different ball game.
Well, and I mean, we just got through break and we had some people on family vacations, and you could tell just missing a few practices what that can do. And then Ella Montaigne, second-year wrestler, wrestling a grown woman weight around 155. So that's kind of tough sledding. And so she's getting back into it. We'll go over her Champlain day, which was awesome. But had kind of a rough go at the Owatonna Girls Classic. Harmony went 2-1 in that tournament. She's looking pretty tough. Also a newer wrestler, but at
second year.
Yeah, and being like, there's a 15-pound difference in their weight classes right there, where it's 155 to 170, and she's in no man's land. She's about 164 naturally, so that's kind of tough. But she just never backs down either. So that was the Owatonna Girls Classic. We'll go in chronological order as far as like how the day went. So we had the Friday night Owatonna Girls Classic, did just a smidge of shuffling so that we could have, what was that? The 26th annual,
Stockwell?
36th annual.
36.
That's right. Yeah, it was 88.
And that's what I actually had to call some of the old coaches out. And just to my dad, verify. Larry goes, I think it's 36 years, and he's still searching through all his old scores and records, and that's what he came up with. He thinks it might. He goes, there was a few years that we didn't have a sponsor, and that's when Stockwell started sponsoring.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the tournament's been going for longer, but when it became the Stockwell, he thinks was in 88, 87, 88.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
Okay.
He doesn't know when exactly. He hasn't found that. I'm sure in about a week
you'll hear.
I'll hear what it is. So
the next day we hosted the Stockwell invite.
Yep.
And just wanted to keep this in mind. We're gonna keep this tally going. Friday night we had 110 wrestlers. Saturday
250 plus. We had 14 teams. There was a lot of kids that some were sick during the week, and then they got in that last practice so they could show up. I'm just saying 250 plus. I'm going to say about 257.
So Mr. Ryan Fisher, who did a great job all weekend, said 260.
260. Okay.
Yep. So geez, that's a
ton. That's a lot of junior high kids. Yeah, or middle school. I shouldn't say junior high. Middle school kids. Yep.
Yep.
So, but for Owatonna, we ended up with Now I'm seeing this report. I had 11 champions.
I went back through what was actually in track. And it was 10.
10. Okay.
There was the champion in second place were just shuffled a little bit.
So 10 champions. We had 6 take second place, 6 take third place, and 4 take fourth place. Out of the champions, the one that stands out to me the most is August Schroed. It's his first year wrestling. Season hasn't been going the way he wants it to go, but I keep telling him, hey, you got to take your lumps before you become a champion. Well, he walked out there and went 3-0 on the day and won the tournament for being a first-year wrestler.
You know what, though? I'm not going to let him off the hook on this. You know what would have been a lot cooler, August? If you wouldn't have forgotten your singlet.
Yes.
The first tournament, you go out and dominate, go 3-0 and everything, and you're in a long sleeve and shorts.
Yep. But
that should show you next time you want your picture taken with your hand raised. Yeah, you're going to be in that singlet that you definitely remembered. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
Also, Michael Nichols, Lucas Ewell, Callan Lindquist, Elijah Klein, Easton Bushel, Brady Larson, Maddie Monte, first year wrestler, girls wrestler. She's just came out halfway. She's had
Ella's little sister.
I think she's had 2 practices before that.
Jeez.
And Mason Sorensen and Caleb Fountain, they all took first. But everybody else, did great. A lot of our first year wrestlers they're learning. They're placing. They're getting their takedowns.
I saw so many, and so Coach Jay down there at the middle school had been bragging up the fact that everyone, not just our experienced wrestlers, but everyone had been progressing so well.
Yes.
And sure enough, watching, it was
pull somebody out.
Bentley Wenzel had a rebar that looked like he had been wrestling for 20 years. It was so clean, so well hooked up. I saw so many insane, great half Nelsons. Levi Bailey. It was great to see. Like Sean McCauley looked like Chris. These guys that I know are on the newer side.
Yep.
That was so cool to see because the half Nelsons were flying. We fought really well. It just comes down to, hey, look, it's a tough time to start learning because there are some, very experienced wrestlers, but at the same time, the instincts will be there. Just keep it up because it's great to see that the fundamentals are coming along really well.
And one of the things I've learned over coaching throughout the years is some of these new kids, they see the experienced kids just winning. They want to win. I'm like, yeah, but them experienced kids have also lost. You got to learn to lose to win. And once you learn how to lose, the winning is just going to come easy.
Yeah, it's just they were doing that back in first and second grade.
Yep. And now it's their time, and they just got to step it up. And they are in practice. They're the goers. They're the ones that are always on task. So and the more they're on task, the better they're going to get.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And it was cool to see. And once again, so that was 260 wrestlers. So we had 110 and then 260. So right there, we're at 470.
And then
370.
And then on Sunday, we had our MNUSA regional qualifier. I don't have the stats of which Owatonna kids were there. I know there was I don't know how many of our youth were there. Quite a few Owatonna kids wrestling.
Yeah.
We need to get some more, and it'll come. But we had 296 participants in that on Sunday afternoon. They did, 2 days before Christmas Eve, 3 days before Christmas. Crazy. And all these kids are still wrestling. So that was a great day. We everything went well. The tournament ran smoothly. Thanks to all the parents and the varsity wrestlers for sitting on the corners, the refs. Didn't have too many controversial calls. With our high school wrestlers, we had one parent, come after one of the refs, and the refs looks at him and goes, "I'm a certified USA ref. I called it. This is how it is." And the head official came over and said, "Yeah, she's right. Match is over." So, but other than that, it was the reffing was great. Table workers were good. I didn't hear any. So thanks for the guys and the girls.
Absolutely.
We needed them.
Well, and that was to me, a cool part, and this is the thing that I want to stress on our community, especially, let's say, to the parents of younger kids that are in the program and everything like that. I know it's work. I know it's a lot of work to do tournaments like this, but that is the way you increase numbers. That is the way you become the strong, resilient program that you are. It is something we're trying to get back to, is more home meets, more home tournaments, more. But it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
I got violently ill coming out of that weekend. I'm sure my immune system was down. I was stressed, all that. And then, we have 660 wrestlers plus parents. That's a lot of people. I got sick. Yeah. But it's a lot of work, but man, it's worth it, because we truly did feel like the absolute hub for Southern Minnesota for wrestling for that weekend. It was just everything. If we can add, the boys varsity JV to that, which we're planning on, then boom, like that's a holistic, like here we are. We're the envy. I mean, and that was the cool part too, is we got to show off this new place. And all the programs are jealous, and that's the point. So that was good. But it was
a great weekend of wrestling.
Yeah, great weekend of wrestling. I saw a lot of community members that don't have skin in the game, meaning don't have kids even wrestling, and it was great to see them. So that was great.
So then, we go to Friday night.
Yeah,
the 27th.
So the Champlin Girls Holiday Classic, I believe it's their third year. That was last Friday. A really, really tough tournament for the girls individually. And we did extremely well. I mean, Kayla Pastica, she took second. So she got another win over Trottier of Apple Valley. And then her loss in the finals, 8-7, was to number 6 ranked Tegan Early. And so, that's going to be a common theme. Like all of the wrestlers we had, man, if they lost, it was to a ranked wrestler, like a highly ranked wrestler. So Kayla took second. Isabel Townley took third place, going 2-1. Key loss in a close one to Kalal of New Prague. But then she beat Wynn from Fridley, who's number 4 ranked. I suspect that the next time the rankings come out, that she's going to be a part of it, as she should have been, honestly, from the start. So Isabel Townley taking third. That's awesome.
And so she knocked off the number 4th ranked in the state.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. For third place.
Okay.
So that was great. And I think it wasn't even close, too. I think she kind of ripped her apart. And then Lucinda Ornelas was also in the varsity 106 bracket as a non-scorer. And there were 3 or 4 ranked girls in that bracket. That was tough. But at least it was good to see Lucinda at her weight class. The Athena that she wrestled really tough at, she had bumped up to 112 just to become a scorer for the team points. But honestly, like 106 is where she belongs. It just so happens that's where Isabella also is this year. So it'll kind of be like that all year. And then Michaela was also up. She went from 139 to 142. She took 4th place, going 1-2. So she won her first match, which is how you basically stayed out of the big consolation bracket, was at least winning the first one. That was good for her to get a little confidence too, getting a pin in that match. Aaliyah had not only toughest bracket, but the biggest. I think she had a 16 pro bracket at 155. So she took 4th place, going 2-2. Had a good day, though. She had a key win over number 9 ranked man from, not a man, but the last name Man, MANN, from St. Paul Harding. And then lost to CC Rock, number 2 ranked from Laverne, who's tough. The Rock family is extremely tough from Laverne. And then number 3, Heiler from Roseville, was a close match. So once again, she's up a weight class. She's definitely not even healthy enough to really get in good enough shape, even in the room. She's just gutting this out. So we might have to talk a little bit about, strategically finding some, maybe a better timeline to truly come back to, or she might just not care and just push through and eventually get into the shape she wants to be in and all of that. And then we had Ella and Harmony. we thought, you know what? They'd been in the Athena varsity. They'd been in the Owatonna Girls Classic varsity, but they're both still on the newer side. And at those 155 and 170 weight classes, it's tough. So we tried them out in JV, and hey, Ella went 3-1 with pins. Harmony went 2-1. So it was a good measuring tool for them too, and get their morale up a little bit, because they are kind of borderline. The Athena, that Big Hopkins tournament, by definition, they probably should have been in that B bracket, which would be kind of JV, but only because of, lack of experience. You know, it's crazy to see how fast. I actually forgot Ella's only a second-year wrestler when I saw her wrestle against the Simley girl. She's picked up so much in so little time. And in Harmony, too, just slaps on a cradle like she's been doing it for 10 years. It's awesome.
Good.
So, yeah. How about you guys this week?
So this week we got practice started back up on Thursday. So we're going to have 2 practices, and then we head off to Coon Rapids to it's a big tournament for middle school. We kind of hide which kids we keep score with, and it's an individual team tournament.
Okay.
So we take certain kids, their point scores, but then our non-point scorers can knock off somebody else's point scorers.
Mm-hmm.
And that just helps us out even more. So it's still, every match counts. Win or lose, get pinned. You can't get pinned in this because you don't know if the kid you're wrestling is a point scorer, and we don't know if they're a point scorer.
Yeah.
We only know our kids who are point scorers. We don't know who theirs are. So it's a very good tournament. So everybody's got to come and wrestle in their best. So that's awesome. Yeah, we head to Coon Rapids on Saturday.
Gotcha.
So what do you got planned this weekend?
Well, just a few things. In fact, we dialed one back. So traditionally, this is the Saturday of Eastview's second 9th grade tournament.
Okay.
But we host the team qualifier next Tuesday for 9th grade. B, we are all over the state at different tournaments on Saturday. And C, we have some guys just getting back, just getting healthy, things like that. So being spread that thin, we figured, okay, we're going to send all the boys to Wabasso. It's going to be a pretty tough team dual tournament for the varsity side, and I imagine it's going to be individual for JV.
Okay.
And then the girls are heading to St. James. It's a gigantic tournament where it's a lot of Northern Iowa, good wrestling girls too at it. So not going to just be the same crap they keep seeing at Champlin and Athena. And so, yeah, we're going to be spread pretty thin that day at 2 pretty large tournaments, and just figured, you know what, for this year, we're not going to do that second Eastview one, and we'll be hosting right around the corner, Region 1 team qualifier next Tuesday anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
But, yeah, it's going to be a pretty jam-packed away weekend. And then, honestly, in a couple of weeks, so I've already talked to a few guys. Our alumni night, something to mark your calendar. We're hosting a quad on Thursday, January 23rd. That's going to be alumni night. We're going to publish that. We're going to get that out this week. Going to have we're working on hats. We're going baseball caps.
Okay.
And it's not going to be year specific so that we can keep going. So that'll be, Thursday, January 23rd.
Now, don't forget on them hats. I'm going to say over half these alumni aren't Huskies.
No, we're not going to have any signal on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Yeah. Because, I'm going to say half the alumni that shows up are, the old Indians. And then there's some of us that were Indians and Huskies. And then the rest are just Huskies. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm toying around with some stuff, some slogans and stuff like that. So, but we thought, might as well do one size fits all, which is a baseball cap, adjustable, something that's not year specific, things like that. You don't end up with 8 boxes of T-shirts
left over.
Yeah, and because we ordered mediums for some reason. Hey,
I'm not a medium anymore.
Yeah. So that's that, and then senior night, and it's going to be kind of like seniors / the parents and guardians of the seniors on Thursday. February 6th. Okay. That's our JM and Mankato West try.
Okay.
So we have that going on too. And yeah, it's going to be cool because that quad on the 23rd, that alumni night, it's going to be 4 mats going because we're going to be running JV as well.
At the same time
so
as
both
varsity?
gyms. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's going to be a big, cool night. And that try on the 6th, we'll see. Northfield tried this. They wanted to wrestle us under their lamp.
Yep.
Time-wise, it just didn't work out that way. I still think there's a way that we can put the try on the 6th under the lamp by taking care of some JV stuff and keeping that stuff going.
Yep.
And hopefully we could get that launched by like 7:30 at night and go against West that way.
On the 26th, 23rd, who do we wrestle that night?
Oh, it's everybody. It is Faribault, Austin, and Mankato East.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, our only head-to-head duel going forward in the conference, how it was set up, which we're going to probably shake this up one more time. We should have 2, not just 1. That's a duel. That night, it'll at least be Faribault as the last one because they're the closest one. Yep. So, at least there's that. We know we'll end on Faribault, which is good. But yeah, we're working to, we're actually going to be filling out some more dates too. We've had a cancellation and we already were shopping another date, for the second half of the season. These gyms are very booked up at the high school, like with everything, but we're still kind of seeing if, another team will join us on a night and stuff. So stay tuned for that and make sure you subscribe to, big9.org. If you go to the view schedules, you can, or go to OwatonnaWrestling.com because that updates the Big 9 schedule. Either way, but that gives you up to the minute updates on our schedule if you subscribe to that calendar.
So, I mean, I just want to clarify. It's not just us in Owatonna that's not able to have just dual matches.
Right.
It's all schools. Nobody. That's why
Albert Lee has has 1 home meet all year, and it's us.
Yeah.
That's
so,
it.
I mean, it's a scheduling thing. There's just so much going on in everybody's schools that they try and spare it up, but then, since it's
and there's been some turnover at the conference level too, just to not to go too much into detail on that type of stuff, but it got a little messy with. I'll be honest, I kind of started the whole kerfuffle because I was like, we're not going to travel to Winona anymore and have 3 varsity matches. Yeah. Why do we keep getting set up with a head-to-head duel? Well, so was Albert Lee. They were getting set up with Winona for a head-to-head duel. So we presented this whole thing. They tried once. We didn't like that iteration of the schedule. They tried again, and we just kind of had to take it. And then with the understanding of, hey, for this year, it's going to be a little messed up. We're going to work something out. We're going to, because they actually whittled down the total number of conference dates entirely for the Big 9 wrestling. Won't be that way going forward, or at least we'll have to find a workaround and just start saying, hey, every year we'll trade off with a Farmington or somebody, bring someone down like that. Yeah. Because right now the only people that want to come to our house are STMA and Simply.
Wow.
It's like, okay, do we want to host that? We're almost to that level to where we can make it a good match. Yeah. So once we are, then we won't say no to offers like that. But
no, I just had a bunch of old alumni. Why don't we have any matches, duels anymore? It's like, well, because the conference, it's not.
We don't make our conference.
We don't get a choice.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, as coaches, even down at the middle school, here's your schedule. It's like, okay.
Because that's the part too, is like, hey, if we wanted to just say, look, Northfield has to be us. Yeah. Dual, whatever. Well, Northfield and Century and Owatonna all got lumped into one. Yeah. That means we have to find more dates to host. Well, guess
there's nothing open.
Sports are basketball is vying for the same time. So it just doesn't end up working that way. And so, we'll have to find ways outside of the conference then to host and maybe get some good rivalries. I've been talking to like Lake Crystal, who has a good team, and they want to do something head to head. And man, did we try. We went back and forth, and then all of a sudden their AD stepped in and they're like, nah, we can't do that either. And so we're trying, but this year's a little wonky. Last year we had 4 home duels. This year we only have 4 now.
Okay. Well,
So. All right. Well, that sounds good. We don't have guests this week. Man, being over break, kids are working at nights, and but we'll get some more people in here, and especially we're gonna try to nail down getting in some youth wrestlers, because they're always a fun what are they gonna say type of interview. So, and they're adorable. They bring the cute factor. So we need that.
Yep, the little pups.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, that's all for now for us. Thanks again to Coles Electric for everything you do for the Owatonna community, but also especially for the Owatonna Wrestling Association and their support. We always love having, especially guys who had wrestlers in the program. That's kind of cool too. And
yes.
And
they, even when their kids are gone, they're still supporting. Still
great. Showing up. We have the best crowd and the best community, and we appreciate that. So, well, thank you much, and we'll have plenty of scores and updates coming out of this week. Yep. So, we'll see you next week then.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. See ya.
See ya.